Welcome to the very first episode of Empower Your Magical Self. I'm your host, Leah, the Mystic Autistic, and my guest for this episode is the radiant and inspiring Toni Jones, affirmation musician. Before we get to the interview, let me tell you a little bit about the idea behind this podcast, Empower Your Magical Self, and what you'll find here. Right now, it's September of 2023. I'm 50 years old, and I've really never been happier or healthier in my whole life. If we flash back just a few years to 2019, we'll see a very different person in me. I was suicidally depressed. I'd lost a job I hated, and I felt desperate to get another job that I felt sure I'd hate just as much. I was terribly unhealthy. I looked and felt terrible, and I behaved terribly. I was a walking wound. I was hopelessly, helplessly bleeding my pain everywhere, all over everything. I've written about this a lot, and you can read more on my website, but something changed within me when COVID started. I became determined, probably for the first time in my life, to really live and be happy, just to figure it out and do whatever it took. And what it took was a lot of listening and a whole lot of internal work. Once I fully opened myself to whatever and whoever the universe sent my way as a teacher, things started shifting. My brain's blessed neuroplasticity kicked in, and my neurons started getting rewired in a healthy, happy way. I learned about my nervous system, and my guard dog ego, I call her Spike, started to chill out to the point where she was healthy and under my control, maybe for the first time ever. The teachers I encountered were key in developing my new perspective. They weren't asking for my devotion to them or to anything else, except maybe to myself. They were waking me up to the magic that exists within us all and helping me to empower myself. I became obsessed with the idea of sharing these lessons with others. I knew that people who are now where I had been would benefit from their wisdom, as would curious, open-minded people in general. Thus, Empower Your Magical Self, the podcast, was born. The people you'll meet on this podcast were all my teachers, though they didn't know it at the time. I'd read their books, listened to their podcasts, followed them on social media, and let their words seep into me. Let their wisdom change me for the better. Now I'm excited to bring them to you. One of these inspiring people will join me each week as we discuss their work and how it's impacted me and how it can probably impact you for the better. I'm delighted to bring our conversations to you, and I hope that you'll be as inspired by them as I am. My guest in conversation today on the very first episode of Empower Your Magical Self is Toni Jones, affirmation musician. Toni's music has had a big impact on my life, and her music is a big part of my soul lit, meaning the regimen that I follow to stay healthy and happy and generally in a really good vibe after a lifetime of being incredibly depressed. Her song Take Up Space Sis was the first one that I heard, and I'd really never heard anything like it. I'm so thrilled that she was kind enough to join me, and I hope that you will enjoy this conversation half as much as I did. Here's Toni Jones and me, Leah, the Mystic Autistic, in conversation from last month. Enjoy. A little bit about your music for people who haven't had the pleasure of listening to you. Tell us a little bit about what it is, if you would, please.
Back in 2019, I released my first affirmation album, Affirmations for the Grown-Ass Woman. I had no intentions of creating a whole new genre of music where I would be doing music full time. And so basically, I created a genre called affirmation music that helps people talk to themselves better. I've been a mental health advocate for about 10 years now. My academic background is psychology. I'm a neuroscience, human behavior nerd. So I'm very well read in the space when it comes to personal development and human behavior. So everything that I've done in my profession and career has been channeled into this new career that I founded and on spearheading this new genre of music called affirmation music. So I basically, I just help people talk to themselves better, and they get to witness the benefits of that practice.
First song that I heard of yours was Take Up Space, Sis. So can you tell me a little bit more about like what motivated that particular song? Because that was such an attention grabber for me. Like you said, you've really spearheaded this. I'd never heard anything like that before. So talk to me about that. Talk to me about Take Up Space, Sis. What is that?
Take Up Space Sis is pretty much an anthem of women just shining their light, shining, opening up their voice, opening up their hearts, opening up their minds to big energy of who they truly are, you know? And I was just on another podcast interview and talking about this song, and I'm like, the source of this song is my journey of experiencing life as a woman, and my journey witnessing other women experience life in a Western society where we're rewarded and defined by how much we give to others, by how much we shrink ourselves and put everybody first on the list and put ourselves last. And so Take Up Space says is an anthem for women to finally say, I'm going to show up big, and whoever is triggered by that, they're not my people, they're not my tribe, they're not the vibration, they're not my allies. And because when you show up big, your people come, your opportunities come. People are drawn by your authentic expression. So Take Up Spaces is pretty much the soundtrack for women to opt into, to decide, do I want to take up space in this space, at work, at home, in my marriage, with my children, with my creativity, with my purpose? They get to choose by listening to that song, like, do I finally want to say yes to me? So it's that.
And it's scary, isn't it? So many women are so scared of that. That I am a very privileged person, and yet I still was afraid to take up space. Do you have any words to how can a woman start that? Start to take up space. Start to allow that energy in her life.
The point of entry into taking up space for a woman should be with herself first. To take up space with herself, whether she's a mom, whether she's an executive that's running a Fortune 500 company, whether she's a stay-at-home wife, whatever, or she's a single woman who's a musician somewhere in the world, no matter what lifestyle you're living, just turn off all the noise and get somewhere quiet and just ask yourself questions. Am I happy? Take up space that way. Take up space with self-curiosity, self-inquiry. Take inventory of what you like about your life, what you don't like about it. Who are the people that make you feel most supported and loved? Who are the people that don't make you feel supported and loved? What habits do you know that self-sabotage the goodness that you want to express and share and create in the world? Like, just radical curiosity and inquiry with yourself is where you can take, because when you take up space with you, with the things that you've been neglecting and ignoring and been denial of in your own personal private life, you build that muscle to take up space, that boldness and that courage to take up space with other people, with other spaces, with the, other opportunities. You see what I'm saying? So I would say that's
Absolutely.
the first point of entry, is actually take up space with yourself. Say, wow, if I'm my worst enemy, I wonder if I can be my best ally. Affirmation music allows you to do that at the push of play. I don't have a musical background. It's a funny thing because when I look back, I can see the breadcrumbs and how it led me here.
Isn't that cool? I love that. I love the breadcrumb story. So tell me that.
The breadcrumbs. Mom used to put me in these pageants when I was younger, and my talent always was rehearsing Proverbs 31, which is a passage out of the Bible, where it talks about a woman and how she presented herself in the community, in her home. And I always recited that passage, Proverbs 31, over piano music. I had piano music playing or a pianist playing it. So it was just like, when I look back at that, I'm like, oh my gosh.
They're
like,
the
no one, those were the breadcrumbs. It's like whether my parents didn't know, I didn't know, nobody in my life knew, but something else knew and was threading and orchestrating my purpose and my destiny without my knowledge. And that's just it's a fascinating story, even to me who lived it.
Yeah. And it's, when I try to tell people about your music who haven't heard your music, I think that they're expecting that it's going to be like the kind of music they play when you're getting a massage, the kind of,
Like new
ah,
age.
like exactly like new age music. And that's what I really want to get across to people who haven't experienced your music, that that's not what it's about. So what are some of your maybe musical influences that people could think, oh, okay, that is rings a bell to me. What
But
is your sound like?
oh
Like
my
I don't
gosh.
I don't know. For some reason I'm thinking Stevie Wonder, but it's not really like Steve. But it's got that same
It's
vibe to me.
vibe. Well, I'll say Motown music.
There you
Motown
go.
music. Motown music. I'm from Detroit, so I'm
Right.
gonna always rep
Mm-hmm.
Motown. But
Yeah.
Motown music, if I was to say, to give some type of reference point of
Sure.
what my music feels like and what it does, it gives the Motown effect. It takes people into a trance of enjoyment of life and a new narrative, a new possibility in the midst of chaos, in the midst of a seemingly hopeless society.
Yeah.
It's like it creates another pocket of possibility for you to reimagine life and reimagine the world, which Motown music did very, very well. Until this day, you can push play on Motown music in 2023, and you're immediately transported into a vibration of like enjoyment, and you want to dance and you want to move and you want to smile and you want to recite the lyrics, and so affirmation music is a way to do that, but speaking to yourself.
Up with a strong spiritual practice.
Grew up in
Okay.
church. When you grow up in the urban church community, music is everything to that
Right.
experience. Dance, movement, expression is is part of that culture. And
Mm-hmm.
so even though I didn't have any like formal musical education or training, the church influenced me heavily. And so it also influenced me spiritually, because since I was 7 years old, I always had an insatiable appetite to perform miracles.
Oh.
I remember reading in the Bible about how Jesus performed miracles, and I didn't think of Jesus as someone I had to like. When I think about what I remember as a child, Jesus was not like a leader of a religion. He was like a superhero to me. I was like,
Oh.
just like how you look at Superman or
Uh-huh.
Wonder Woman. I was like, Jesus can walk on water. He could turn water into wine. He can heal people and raise people. I was like, I want to do that. But
Uh-huh.
there was no type of empowerment conversations that I was a part of that was training people how to perform miracles. And then as I got older, I was like, oh, performing miracles is not actually a thing in society. That's like, so I just let that go. But I remember as a child, that was something that I really wanted to do. Like I wanted to do something that defied logic, And so my spiritual background comes from a religious space, but it started with the natural appetite for the supernatural.
What is power? What is power in the world? What are your thoughts about power?
Well, that's a great question and a great conversation topic, because we have so many narratives and definitions around power, individually and collectively. But I'll say from my experience and what I've learned with my defining, my ever evolving defining definition of power, it started with money. It started with being able to um, be a Christian who saved souls for the church. It went to, and it just evolved over the years. It ended up being defined by my own personal liberation. That's powerful when you can have your own individual thought in a society that thrives off of conformity. Um, Power, what I have recently defined I won't say define power, but I like my power. My definition of power is alive. It's not confined. I realize that it's always growing and changing. And so what I realize is the power that I have and the power that I realize a lot of celebrities and people and influencers have is the trust of people. When you can influence the minds of people and they trust you, and you can have some type of currency with them that goes far past finances, that is very powerful. And the responsibility to that power, I don't think people are willing to pay that price if they knew what it actually costs to have power over people's minds and energy. And so for me, it's an honor and it's a sacred opportunity to return people back to themselves. That's a powerful thing. So I think sovereign free will is power. I think being able to have your own individual mind and thinking and feeling is power. And I also believe having the power to influence people's minds and energy is powerful, but it has to be treated, honored in a sacred way, because my power, I guess, with people or over people, I guess, or with my influence, is to return their power back to them. So when you look at the body as though it's a collective of individual functions and organs and operations and that are influenced by your choices and habits and thinking and lifestyle, you have to think about your own growth and empowerment, that it includes other parties, it includes people. People are really classrooms. When you get in relationships, they're classrooms to see who you truly are. Tragedy happens, when grief happens, when betrayal happens, it enrolls you into a class to who you are in the midst of grief, who you are in the midst of tragedy, who you are in the midst of despair. And you get to learn who you want to be, and you get to accept that life will life. But who do you want to continuously be in the midst of that? Do you want to be somebody who's addicted to drugs in those scenarios? Do you want do you want to be somebody who allows the toss of life and the ups and downs of life to toss you around? Or do you want to be grounded and rooted into a decision and choice and being well no matter what happens in life, while you experience the emotions of your human reality? So I definitely think self-empowerment is a must. Individual empowerment is a must and possible, but I don't think it's sustainable. I think eventually you're going to need community, you're going to need support, and maybe not eventually, maybe throughout your whole journey, where you may have pockets of solitude, but throughout your whole journey, you will require people, you will require allies to support you going into the next level of your empowerment. I've met a lot of wealthy people in my life, and because of the different careers I've had. And one of the things I've learned is that the privilege of family, of a healthy family,
Oh, yeah. It's
like
rare.
it's rare, but I've met from wealthy people where they understand the power of family and being in one unison in that culture of family. From the aunts and the uncles. Just imagine if there's one mindset culture in a family, from the aunts, the uncles, the nephews, the nieces, the grandparents, the great grandparents, the mothers, the fathers, even the friends. Everyone is under one mindset culture, which is we're a team. We love each other. We enjoy life. We enjoy food, and we create our lives how we want them to be experienced. And when I witnessed that, I realized money is not really the true wealth. It's actually family being in unison under one informed thought, which is personal accountability to use your free will to choose how you want to determine your reality.
I heard you say the word sovereign earlier, and that's a word I think about a lot and a concept that I think about a lot. What does that word mean to you?
Sovereign, I feel like it means being in a God state. Okay. A God state that's not determined by physical reality. divine is defined and operates from what I call divine technology. And what I believe our divine technology is our imagination, our ability to speak, our thinking, our feeling, our digesting, the operation of our organs. And when you operate that with intention, you posture yourself in a God state to not allow the distractions of the physical world to interfere, you know? And so when you're able to govern your inner, you know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
technology, you're able
Yeah.
to, I guess, protect yourself from those who try and take that throne in your inner world, you know, from celebrity culture, from politics, from racial wars, injustices, um, people outside of you, you know, what's
Yeah.
happening in other countries, you know, trauma that has nothing to do with you, you know, just it, all the distractions, all the noise that's outside of you is always is at war to win the throne of your attention and focus. So I think it's very sovereign to be in a God state to say, I won't allow anything outside of me to take the throne of my attention and my focus and my well-being, you know, and that's how defined in my life is that on a more practical level, it's owning your accountability to your finance, to your relationship with your finances, with your nutrition, with where you live, with who you relate to. It's really exercising your free will. No one can take that away from you. When you're spiritually exercising your free will to say, I'm consciously choosing to take accountability for my life, no matter what systems are in place to oppress me making this decision. It's literally my birthright to exercise my spiritual right to say, this is my life and I get to dictate it the way that I feel I deserve to dictate it and experience it. That's powerful. Even believe in that. It's all energy at the end of the day. And whatever you focus on, you amplify.
Yep.
I think as a beautiful narrative that needs to be amplified for people of color and people in general, that no matter what systems have been in place, you can empower yourself to transcend it through taking a sovereign approach to your life.
Yeah. So that, you know, how you describe that to me, that kind of sounds like what I think of as magic. And I was going to
Mm-hmm.
ask you if you have an idea in your head about what magic is, because to me, that is, you just described it. To me, that's
Yeah,
magic. Yeah.
magic. And the way magic has been branded as something that's out of the norm, but
Mm-hmm.
magical is really our most natural state. We're experiencing magic all the time. Our cells are literally dying and regenerating itself all the time, from our
Yeah.
skin cells to the cells of our organs to our blood. Like we're constantly like, experiencing this miraculous operation of self that keeps us going without our effort. Like we don't have to tell our blood or our heart to go. Like it literally is hooked up to some type of source intelligence to do what it's designed to do. And so I just believe that there's been a lot of social engineering and programming that's had the privilege and insight of how this whole reality is designed and operates to where it's been able to exercise power over us by programming and conditioning us to feel that we are a limited being and that we are physical matter structured in form, and that's all there is our five senses, and that is. So I believe magic is nature. Magic is who we are. Magic is our most natural state. Magic is our imagination. The fact that you can look at me right now and in picture and through this iPhone, that's magical. You know, that you can see my physical presence, hear my voice through a device that defies logic. But this phone, this technology is capitalizing on unseen energy, which is magical, you
Yeah.
know, and it's the same thing with our imagination. Our imaginations, you can look at me right now, but you can imagine the color of your bathroom right now.
Mm-hmm.
You can just take the moment and look at me, and you can literally go into your mind's eye and see the color of your bathroom. That's magical. So I think that the limited way of thinking, the normal way of thinking and operating in life is more weird and insane and abnormal than magical. Magical is being human. Magical is being spiritual. Magical is being natural. And how we were designed to be magical beings. I mean, the fact that we could put a seed in dirt and it can produce more than enough fruit and vegetables. Just because you planted one seed, just because one hand planted that one seed, does not tell that seed or soil to produce only one fruit or vegetable. It does what it's supposed to be, more than enough. That's magical. That's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely magical, where you can plant one thing and it can be not only produce one time, but it can do it year round, forever. So I believe magical, the way it's magic has been the way it's been branded has been as though it's out of the norm or it's something that's very rare. But no, magic is literally what we live every single day.
I feel like from listening to your music, the pandemic was a big deal for you in terms of your being and your progression. Maybe I'm reading that wrong. It certainly was for me. I'm thinking about your song Catch Me Outside, and just like you just sounded like you were just about to burst at the seams to get outside. And was that really your experience with the pandemic? Did you undergo a lot of transformation there?
Well, when one of my albums, I believe it was in the second album, Icy Me Mantras, I mentioned, and I think
Mhm.
it was the second song, Icy Thoughts, where I said 2019 was my
A
pandemic.
launching pad? Oh, yes, I remember. Yeah,
Yeah,
uh-huh. Yeah.
2019 was my pandemic. When 2020 hit, it hasn't been that was like the happiest, funnest year I've had as an adult thus far.
Uh-huh.
Because 2019 was such hell for me. When I went into 2020, I decided, this was before the pandemic happened, I had made a decision to devote and commit myself to being happy and enjoying my life no matter what happened. So no matter, I mean, Black Lives Matter happened that year. The pandemic happened that year. So many people got COVID. So many people died. But it was not enough reason for me to be joyless. It was not enough reason for me to not have fun. I had to learn how to create space for what was happening in reality and observe it, but not let it be the throne of my life to where it dictated how good this life can be. So a lot of my
Mhm.
life in 2020, I had tons of fun. I experienced so much favor. My streams were increasing. It was my mental health was so shot in 2019 that 2020, I just really had to rediscover how good life can actually be, despite having a really horrific 2019, year prior. So I wasn't really COVID conscious. I wasn't pandemic conscious. I don't watch TV. I don't opt into any of the campaigns that media puts on, even if it has something to do with being Black or injustice. My life, my present life, became my CNN. It became
Yeah.
the news headlines because I had. I want people to understand it. It's not me being insensitive to reality. It's just my reality of 2019, and was so horrible. And I realized that I had to experience it to realize how much I made so much outside of me my priority and my focus. Where when 2020 came, I was like, I'm going to embark on mastering how my energy to where I focus on what matters to me, not to be insensitive to other realities and how other people are experiencing that. But I just needed to have fun and, and restore my mental health. So it was very contradicting to a lot of what was happening collectively. But I just became very important to myself. So a lot of that music that I wrote in affirmations and chill, it came from my empathy for a lot of people that felt in prison and felt like they
Mhm.
didn't know, like they felt like they were going crazy because they felt threatened by the stillness. They felt threatened by the silence. They felt threatened by not being in their routine, which is all normal, which is so normal for the nervous system when it changes realities and routines. So I had a lot of empathy and sensitivity for how everyone was experiencing it. Um, but I was experiencing it a whole different way. I felt like a whole child, like at a amusement park. Because I was very disenchanted with our society. I was
Yeah.
disenchanted with the money system. I was disenchanted with the food. Learning so much was like creating a psychosis of being disenchanted with life. And I felt like I'm not meant to be here because this reality is so harmful to
Yes.
everybody.
Totally.
And
Isn't she just incredibly inspirational? I really hope that you're enjoying the interview that I did with Toni Jones and that you will be back in the next half of the show to listen to more of her wisdom. I want to take a break here to say that one of the things that I enjoyed most about talking with Toni is that she's so open and honest about her experiences, some of the experiences that are really raw that a lot of people really wouldn't go into. She and I had a similar experience and had a very difficult 2019. And we together go into some depth about what happened to us and the things that helped us get better. I'm going to give you a content warning. There is a lot of talk about suicidal ideation and about suicide in general. So if you don't want to listen to that, I have cut it out so it is not part of this show. However, you may find it very helpful to listen to. It's very real and it may be relevant to you or to someone you love. So I'm going to portion that section out and put it up on my website, and I will also put it on YouTube, but it will be separate from this episode. So there will be a content warning, and I welcome you to listen to that, but I also welcome you to skip it if it doesn't fit your needs, if it doesn't serve you right now. So let's return now to part two of the interview with Toni
so for
Jones.
me, it was like COVID, the pandemic happening was like, it was exciting for me because so many people before the pandemic were still dying from cancer because of what's in our food, what's in our air,
Right.
what's in our water. So the pandemic wasn't special to me. I felt like I had been living a pandemic my whole entire life. I felt like it was madness that teachers get paid $30,000 a year and an actress could get paid $30 million for being a voiceover for a cartoon. Like I felt like this cannot be normal. So for me, I like the idea that there was no sports. I
Yeah.
love the idea that everything had to stop. Like I was like, this means something's about to happen. There's a new reality about to emerge. So I was very excited. The pandemic was not the worst thing for me. It was the reality of insane normalcy that had been living in this American society for years and trying to find my way to navigate it. It actually, a pandemic relieved me. I'm like, maybe these unfortunate tragedies that's happening will wake people up to create something new in their lives, to say this routine, this system that's been given to us is not what life is about,
Right.
and so, it was very unpopular thought, and some may perceive it as insensitive,
Yep.
but I'm just a provocative woman. I'm a provocative, very independent thinker, and I see through things. Um, my hope was for the pandemic was that a new society will emerge, a new thought will emerge in the collective consciousness of humanity to reimagine what life can be, off the beaten road of capitalism and separatism.
Do you think that's happened at all? Because I had that I had that hope too, but now I'm kind of like, I don't know if anything's really
Um, I
changed.
think I think it's I think it's happening. I think I mean, if we had a media, if we had a whole collective media year-round campaign to focus on it's happening, we would believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
the spaces that I'm a part of, the way consciousness is evolving, it's happening. It's definitely happening. It's just not on the forefront of our obvious attention,
Sure.
But I think it's happening all around the world. I think people have definitely woke up, but I think people are fighting to go back to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are fighting to maintain the familiar. The world has changed. Society has changed. There are things that I believe that are not that look like they're still the same, that I think that have completely been, like, I think our government, I think it's completely changed. And I don't think we know it yet, you know. But I won't go down those rabbit holes. But I do believe change has happened, evolution has happened. I think consciousness has evolved and grown. But I think because it's triggered people's trauma around change, that people want just to maintain what has been familiar all their lives, which is their routine, their emotional routine, their emotional habits, their thinking habits, their financial, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So people don't know how to a lot of people don't know how to reimagine a world of peace and harmony and acceptance for the duality of life, you know.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it's happening, but when you look out into the world and look at what's being broadcasting, it looks like it's not happening. But I know too much. I've been exposed to too much to know that it actually is happening. It's just not broadcasted the way that the other things are being broadcasted. It
Yeah.
looks like hopelessness.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it. It feels like this despair, but there's but any great farmer knows that when it's this bare land, that's more opportunity to sow seeds. So when you're in hopelessness and despair and collective despair on large, that means that's an opportunity for us to share our light, share our gifts, to give those seeds to where there is no growth, there is no bloom, there is no,
Yeah.
hope.
When we feel like all I really can accomplish today is brushing my teeth, but that makes me ashamed of myself. No, like you said, if that's all you can do and you do it 10 gold stars, 20 gold stars, 100 gold stars, because you're bringing yourself closer to life. And
Yeah, and then what happens? What happens? Oh my gosh. Mm, mm, mm. What happens when you do that as you accumulate this bond with yourself because you watched and witnessed yourself be the one that crawled yourself out that hole because nobody else is going to do it for you.
yeah, they
There's a
can't.
bond. No, they
Yeah.
can't. There's a
Yeah.
bond and loyalty that you develop in that process to when you crawl yourself out of it. You're like, I'm never going to allow anybody or anyone or anything to get me that disloyal to myself to where I feel like I have to exit out of here.
Yeah.
So there becomes that I developed a stronger self-loyalty and devotion to myself because I'm the one that nurtured myself back to life. I'm the one that entertained thoughts of optimism. I'm the one that took myself out to nature. I'm the one that started to change my nutrition when I felt strong enough to do so. You know what I'm saying? So
You're
it's
your
just
own
like
hero. You
you're
saved
your
your
own
life. You're your
hero.
hero.
I
Yeah.
saved my life. So when people
Yeah.
ask me, who inspires you? I'm like, me. I
Yeah.
inspire me because I know where I was. And somehow, some way, I was divinely guided to make small decisions back home to myself.
Yeah.
Like, who else can inspire me more than that?
Right.
So no matter
Yeah.
how much spiritual support you have, no matter what you believe in as far as divinity or deity, you still have to choose. And I made that choice. And that's what inspires me is that I continue to choose myself, you know?
And we could all do that, right? So the person who's listening to you, he can choose themselves right this second, right?
Right this second. Right
Yep.
this second. And one of the things that helped me is like what, because when you're in crisis, you don't believe anything but the bad stuff. That's on the loop. To entertain anything else but that seems
Like
crazy.
a joke. It feels like a joke.
Like a
Yeah.
joke. It feels like a
Yeah.
joke. But one of the things that helped me counter that is, what would the version of me who loves myself do in this situation? Ask
Hmm.
yourself, what would the version of me who loves and believes in myself and sees the best for me, what would the version of me do for me in this moment? And surprisingly so, every time I asked that question when I was in crisis, it was never journaling. It was never meditation. It was never yoga. It was something that brought me pleasure and joy. It was something that was fun for me. It was something that was soft and light and not performative, you know?
And you let yourself have it. You
And
didn't
I let
shame yourself
myself
for
have it.
that.
And I
Yeah.
didn't edit or police myself. I let myself have it.
Yeah. Whew! This has been a wonderful talk, Toni. I really
Thank you.
appreciate you so much for doing this for me. I know you don't know me from Eve, so I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Um,
Gratitude.
so much gratitude back. I just, for everything, every time your music comes on my Spotify, I get excited. And that's it. That's our show for the day. I really hope that you enjoyed the first episode of Empower Your Magical Self. I want to thank my guest, Toni Jones, so much. Toni, it was an absolute pleasure meeting you and talking with you for an hour. Really have so much gratitude for you and your work. Thank you very much. And I hope that you all will join us next week when I am joined by my guest, Romano Gypsy medicine man and brilliant author, Patrick Jasper Lee. He just goes by Jasper Lee, so let's just call him Jasper Lee.
The role of Shivano is all about being a Romani Gypsy medicine man. Now, that means that I take care of the community, their social, emotional, their mental needs. Anything that they've got wrong with any part of their system, they would come to me.
We'll see you back then. And for now, please get out there and empower your magical self. Have a great week. See you next Wednesday.